This has the latest firmware. We have a microphone that's plugged into channel 1. We've got a USB connection to the laptop, headphones plugged in, and power at the back. There are 3 drivers that are available. There's the stereo ASIO driver, the multi-track ASIO driver, and the audio interface with record ASIO driver. And what they relate to are these here. The audio interface, and in there we've got the stereo to PC, and we've got the multi-track to PC connection. And then we've also got this third option down here, audio interface with record, and that's an on-off feature. On the stereo and the multi-track driver, there comes a warning. The warning from Zoom says that for these devices, there is an issue where sound cannot be heard on a Windows PC. And when this problem occurs, this is the workaround. So it's not a fix, it's just a workaround. And what they're saying is have the buffer size higher than 128. 64 and 128 seems to be the problem areas that are causing the sound to disappear on a Windows computer. I've already downloaded the drivers, so we'll get to it. Okay, that's now installed. Okay, the next thing we need to do is to connect the Zoom. So we're going to USB, and we'll go to audio interface, and we go to stereo mix. All right, so now we're in audio interface. And we'll click cancel just to get Studio One working, and then we'll go manually into the section. So we've got this Zoom here. So when I installed that stereo ASIO driver, it's given me these 3 components. This component here I cannot get to work. It keeps saying that the audio device could not be initialized, and I get the same experience if I go to the last option of the Zoom driver. Exactly the same. The only driver I can get to work is this one here, the Zoom H&F series. I've previously set this to 192 samples, so that's good to go, and we're good. So if we start a new song now, and we go to vocal and guitar, if I get my microphone, first of all, we can see on here that as I speak into my microphone, we are getting signal on channel 1. And we're also getting my microphone come in on these 2 channels here. That's because it's a stereo driver, so it's receiving a stereo mix from the Zoom. So that is fine. It works as expected if I just record a short audio. This is me testing the audio on this F8n under the stereo driver. And if I normalize, okay, so that's coming through my headphones because we're using my headphones as a speaker. And so the stereo ASIO driver works as expected. The problem is that I'm trying to use this as a multi-track mixer. So we'll come out of this, we'll exit that. Okay, and we'll then close down Studio One. We don't want to save any drivers, and I'm going to uninstall that stereo driver just so that we know it's not in this system causing any problems. Okay, so there we go, that's now off the system. The next driver we're going to install is the multi-track ASIO driver. Now this is probably the worst out of all 3 of these drivers because it doesn't work. Right, so we're back to the Zoom. We'll go into USB, audio interface, and we'll choose multi-track. Okay. We'll click no for now because we'll get Studio One working, and then we'll go into the settings manually. So although the names haven't changed, it is a different driver. What I've not demonstrated in this video is the fact that when I uninstall the driver and then open up Studio One, these don't exist. So because I've installed the multi-track drivers, put these back in, but for some reason Zoom have not renamed them to show that it's for a multi-track purpose. But again, this one here doesn't work. Neither does the async, which I don't know what these two drivers are supposed to be for, and even on this one it doesn't work now. So this multi-track driver does not work for me at all. The only way I can get it to work is if I go back to the Zoom and we exit the multi-track feature, and we go in as a stereo connection, stereo mix PC. Now I can get this driver to work. It's almost like that on Zoom website, it's the same driver. It's not actually a multi-track driver, it's just a stereo driver. So if we, again, we can only pick this option because this driver and that driver doesn't connect, but this one will. There you go, look. So we've told these F8n to go into stereo mode and it's working. And I can go and create a song. And as you can see here, I've got my microphone and it's coming in exactly like it was under the previous stereo driver. And if I was to record, it would be identical. This is a test of the multi-track ASIO driver from Zoom to see if we can hear the recording after I finish. This is a test of the multi-track ASIO driver from Zoom to see if we can hear the recording after I finish. Okay, so hopefully I'm recording my audio on this video through a lavalier, so hopefully you heard maybe a faint, but hopefully you heard that audio. So that's working. The problem is that we only have a left and right channel. We can have multiple instruments, we can add another instrument, but we've got to pick left or right, basically. They've called, Studio One has called it 1 and 2, but to me it's left and right. And it's not the multi-track feature that I'm looking for. So let's close this down one more time. Let's uninstall this driver one more time. Okay, that's now off the computer. Let's disconnect the Zoom. Okay, so now the Zoom is out of any connection with the computer. And before I move on, I want to open up Studio One quickly, just to show you that now we've uninstalled the driver, there's no drivers here. Okay, so now we'll install the third and final driver. Okay, so that's now installed. We'll open up Studio One. We'll connect this one. But this time we're going to go to the last option, audio interface with record, and we're going to turn that on. Okay, we can go back to the main screen. I can open my mic up and you can see that I've got an input on this one. We go back to Studio One and we'll tell it to use the Zoom. Now we've only got one driver here now because we're using the third driver and this is how it looks in Studio One. So we'll choose that. There we go, we're back. Now it's all live. And we'll click OK. And we'll open up a new song. Now it says here, I do get this random message that the rate I've set is 44 kilohertz, but the device is set to 48 kilohertz. So if I go into here, we'll just change that to 48, and we'll click OK. As we can see here now that we've got my vocal channel and we've got a good input signal. If I now go into the input-output settings, we can see that we've got 10 channels. That's 8 inputs from the device plus a stereo mix, I believe. I've not got into it too deeply, but there's my 8 channels. That's what I'm interested in. So if I want to go and add, let's just say a keyboard, keys, and I can choose, oh, that's coming in on channel 7, and I would actually get input on that channel because I've tested it previously with a microphone and I've done the same thing and it works. So this is great. So we're interested in input 1, which is my microphone, and we'll click OK. But the problem here is this. When I record audio, in fact, let me start that again because I don't want it recording on that channel. Okay, here we go. So when I record audio, I will not be able to hear this audio playback using the third audio driver. Okay, as you can see, or hear, there's nothing. We've got a signal here, we've got a signal there, and we've got a signal here. But we're not hearing anything. There's nothing coming through the headphones at all. The only way I can hear anything is if I go into Studio One and I change this to, say, Windows Audio. If I change that to Windows Audio, click OK. Let's just check that. Yeah, that's all good. So if I play that now, so I don't know if you could hear that, but that's actually coming through on my headphones. My headphones is USB into the laptop. If I change that to the speakers, when I record audio, I will not be able to hear this audio playback. So as you can see, that is a bit of a faff. I've got the workaround is I've got to tell Studio One to output audio to a different device, and I've got to go into Windows and I've got to tell Windows to change the audio. And so that is a workaround, but it's not ideal. Let's go back to the website. This driver works as expected, the stereo driver, but it's no good for me. I might as well have used my previous USB audio interface for what benefit it gives me. The multi-track ASIO driver does not work whatsoever. The audio interface with record does work, but I am unable to hear playback once I've recorded any audio without going into further settings to change to a different audio device. If you have any questions or queries, or if you found this helpful, please leave a comment.